It's that time of year again where the spooky, eerie side of the community finally comes to life. Our Kayla Carlile explored the dark side of the Rocket City and found some truth behind some of Huntsville's most notable hauntings.
You may have heard of a few ghost stories from around the Huntsville area. If you've ever visited any of the sites, maybe you felt cold chills run down your back. Maybe you felt like you were being watched. Well, believe it or not, Huntsville is full of ghost stories with a rich history. And with Halloween being just a day away, I figured now was the best time to learn a little bit more about Huntsville's haunted history. To start off my journey, I met up with noted Huntsville author and historian Jacque Reeves. She's the owner of the Huntsville Ghost Walk and has heard just about every good ghost story and haunting in Huntsville over the years. Once on a walk through Maple Hill Cemetery, she met a man who told her he saw a ghost near a gravesite. Little did she know that gravesite would bring her back to her roots.
I was doing some research in the cemetery one day and a man came up to me and said that he sees ghosts. He walks past the grave of a Confederate colonel every day. The colonel was killed in the Civil War, and the colonel is standing next to his headstone. His ghost is. And this man said, every day he says, "Good morning, Colonel," and the colonel bows his head. And I said, well, what does he want? He just wants to be acknowledged. And he brought me here to his grave, and I was quite surprised to see, because it is my great-great-grandfather who was killed in the war.
Next, Jacque brought me to the grave of Philip Flanagan. Flanagan was the second husband to the Black Widow of Hazel Green. The Black Widow is known for her 6 husbands and their untimely deaths. Flanagan, like the other 5 husbands, met a suspiciously early death while he was married to her.
When she married him, she discovered he was deep in debt. She thought he had a lot of money. Surprisingly, they're married for 3 months, everything goes fine. The last 3 months of his life, he sees a doctor 45 times.
And while nothing was ever proven by professionals, it is said that the Black Widow killed her husband with arsenic, or rat poison. It's been said that the spirit of Mr. Flanagan has also confirmed this.
He says, "I'm too young to die." And he says, "There are no rats in this house."
The spirit of the Black Widow herself is said to roam the site of her own home near Hazel Green.
The house is no longer there. It burned down in the early 1960s. And they say that at night you can see someone carrying a lantern, possibly her, in the cemetery. And maybe she's calling to her husbands, or maybe she's looking for husband number 7.
I'm told here on Walker Street in the Old Town Historic District there are spirits of children heard singing. It's said the children are singing a song about the deadly influenza that wiped out Huntsville 100 years ago in October.
What it did was compromise their blood being able to clot. It's like the blood went instantly liquid, and so people were bleeding through their eyes and their nose and their ears and their mouth. And it was so virulent, for some people, if you had a cough at 8 o'clock in the morning, you were dead by noon. So in Maple Hill Cemetery, there were more burials in the year 1918 than in any other year.
Wow.
Out of this event, the children sang a song. I had a bird, its name was Enza. I opened the window and in flew Enza.
So these kids are caught singing this song on this street?
They are, and we're not saying that they died from the flu, it's just they're singing the song that came out of the flu epidemic.
These aren't the only haunted stories you'll hear about in the Huntsville area. On Halloween, you'll see plenty of ghosts and spirits as they make their way to your front door and ask you for candy. But just remember, when that happens, the real haunted history of Huntsville is everywhere if you know where to look. And maybe one day, those spirits will make a believer out of you. In Maple Hill Cemetery, putting the Halloween spirit first, I'm Kayla Carlile.
I don't know if anyone else is a little creeped out, but I definitely am. Well, you can go to our website to find more information on the history behind some of these stories. You can even find some bonus stories and behind the scenes extras while you're there. Just head over to rocketcitynow.com.